Hi, this is Alicia Mundy from the Wall Street Journal, and I'm here with Dr. Sid Wolf, who runs Public Citizens Health Group and who also has a website called worstpills.org. And in some respects, he is the bane of the pharmaceutical industry. He has spent 30-some years exposing problems with drugs in the drug industry and with the Food and Drug Administration that regulates it, and he's very happy about it.
The block diagram has FDA being part of the Public Health Service. So if FDA was primarily interested in public health, if there was any question, a reasonable question about safety, they would take the drug off the market. Instead, just the reverse is true. If there's any question, they defer on the side of the industry and allow the industry to keep marketing drugs. Now, if we were talking about a drug that had some unique life-saving benefit and you were worried about some risk, I could understand that. But we're talking about drugs, the ones that we have pushed the FDA on, that have absolutely no unique benefit. There are other drugs that do just as well or better in terms of effectiveness for treating disease and are nowhere near as dangerous. So in that kind of circumstance, it's inexcusable why the FDA delays and delays.
Now you're suddenly on a very important panel at the FDA that actually is looking directly at safety issues. What do you think will change with you if you go from being an outsider to finally being an insider and actually having a platform?
Well, I don't consider myself an insider. I'm still working for the Health Research Group at Public Citizen, and my views on these issues haven't changed. I now have access much sooner to much more information to study, so that when I go to one of these meetings, I not only have the 30 seconds or a minute in the public session to say something, but I can cross-examine the industry, I can cross-examine the FDA, and I can try and raise questions based on the information that I've gotten from looking. So it's a position that allows me much more room to try and influence the outcome than I would in this lineup of people in the public session. By and large, what we have done and what I will continue to do outside the panels or on the panels is to try and support the best scientific work already being done in the FDA. I mean, there is rarely an issue that someone in the FDA doesn't discover that there's a problem with it, but that person frequently gets sort of pounded into the ground because they are saying things that don't go along the party line, they're saying things that the companies don't like, they're saying things that the industry-oriented management at FDA doesn't like. The committee I'm on is only called into being, drug safety and risk management, when there's already a question about the safety of a drug. We're not being called into drugs where there's absolutely no question. Those meetings will be the pulmonary drugs committee or the heart drugs committee. But here, it's our committee plus whichever category of drugs committee would already have been looking at this drug. And so someone has already said there's a possible safety problem, and you look at the data, and sometimes there is, sometimes there may not be. But the answer should be, what does the data show?
Is there any drug that Sid Wolf likes?
The reason that our newsletter and our book and our website is Worst Pills and Best Pills is that if all that we had was the worst pills and there was no alternative, there would be a lot of problems here. But for every disease, or most diseases, there are better drugs which are just as effective or more effective and less dangerous. A lot of these alternatives are older drugs because they have survived the gauntlet of time. It's the first 7 years after a drug comes on the market that it's most likely to be taken off the market, most likely to have some new finding that results in a black box warning. So almost by definition, once a drug has gotten past that period of time, it's likely to be safer than a new drug that we just don't know as much about.
Thank you, Dr. Wolf. This is Alicia Mundy for the Wall Street Journal.